Hey guys, so today we are diving more into Brian Biltz's second gen project. Basically it is here, and I know Lynn did some talking about it. We're gonna do a back half, turbos, a bunch of, basically he has had this truck for a while and is just wanting to get it more or less, get a lot of the fab work, just a lot of the custom stuff done out of the way so he can plumb it, take it home, and he can go racing next year. So today last night I tore the whole back section of the truck off, pulled the axle out, wheels, all that kind of stuff, basically giving us all the room to work so we can cut it in half. And gonna work on some turbo stuff today, just welding a bunch of bungs in, just trying to get a list of all the stuff flanges wise that we're gonna need. And yeah, we're gonna roll on that today, and we'll get back to you when we get done with that. Lynn is using, he's drawing out the back half in Bentech Pro, and so we're kind of trying to do some of that. Right now, I'm actually working on cleaning up the axle. So we had, he has a 9-inch axle, but it had 4-link brackets on already, but it had a small spread, which isn't spread. It had, a 10.5-inch spread, top to bottom. Only had 2 adjustment holes on the top and 3 on the bottom. We like to see a little bit more, especially in a 2-wheel drive, so we can basically, make adjustments needed in the truck to make the chassis work. So ended up cutting off all the old brackets off 9-inch, which is never a lot of fun, a lot of grinding wheels, plasma, everything that involves that. So working on getting just everything smoothed out, everything basically, of just a fresh template, so when we get our new brackets, everything get welded on, there's nothing, everything's gonna be straight, all that kind of stuff. So working on getting that finished up, and then I think tomorrow we're gonna start and finishing boxing the frame in, which is, where we cut it. We just like the box about 12 inches back, so it makes the chassis more rigid. So when we build, off the back, that is going to be stronger. So today we're kind of getting into our final, or well, not, I guess not final, our building process of Brian Biltz's back half. Basically just trying to get everything, measured out, make sure everything's right, level, square, all that kind of fun stuff. So now we're doing most of the bracing and yeah, doing all of our welding and all that fun stuff. So I think Lynn's working on a couple of bendings and pipes and finish notching some stuff, basically doing the same and doing some welding. So yeah. So we have the back half more or less all the way done. We had basically finished welded everything, got the axle in, the wishbone done, anti-roll bar done, basically everything that entails with a new back half build. We still have drive shaft measuring to do, just some other random stuff like that. We are going to be moving the engine back 14 inches. So that entails a mid-plate, new mid-plate design, front engine mounts, and redoing the turbos. We're gonna have to move the engine back before we can build turbos for it. So those are basically the 2 big things left on this build in particular. And then we have some more stuff rolling in later that you guys will be able to keep up on. So now we're moving on to moving the engine back. So basically he is going to a Turbo 400 and getting rid of the 47 RE that he had in it. So we are actually moving the engine back 12 to 14 inches, and then we are doing a mid-plate mount. Basically, we want a better weight bias for it, and we're going to get rid of the stock engine the stock engine mounts and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to make custom ones and put the mid-plate in, and yeah, so that's basically where we're at right now. We had to cut most of the floor out because obviously the engine's going to be back so far. We need room to clear the transmission, the drive line, and yeah, so we're kind of getting in the baby steps of it today, getting back from our pretty much reckless 3 weeks of thrashing and all that kind of stuff for races. So hopefully we have this kind of wrapped up here in the next couple days, and we'll keep you updated.
Earlier today we put the transmission in here with the mid plate and everything bolted up to it, and we got it in the place that we want it. Made sure that the drive shaft length that we want is right and everything, and tried to get all of our angles and stuff right. And we have this mating flange that bolts to the mid plate, so we just made some temporary little brackets down here that hold that in place for us. So after we did that, we pulled the transmission down and out of the way. So now currently I'm working on the bars that'll go here from the frame up to the dash bar, and so that'll all tie into the main structure of the truck. So once we get those bars in and get this flange fastened well, we can bolt the mid plate back to it, and then we should have a really good strong mount point for the engine and the transmission. So then from there we just need to put a transmission mount in and do some front motor mounts, and we should be good to go.
So we basically got the mid plate in, the adapter plate and all that. We got all the bracing done for the most part. We still have some finish welding to do, but basically with having a mid plate design like this, you have to do a front engine mount as well. So you get rid of the factory engine mounting and all of the location and stuff. So basically we have to go back through. We have the engine sitting in there now. We just wanted to test fit some stuff, especially for the turbo piping, because he has a rear exiting intake manifold. It's an individual runner. And so basically we were trying to make sure everything was going to fit before we finished welded and did all that stuff. So we're going to work on front engine mounts, getting some stuff cut off and cleaned up so we can fab off of that. And then we're going to start in on the turbos. He's doing a set of Johnny's S4 setup. So we are going to have to make a bunch of custom piping for that. So we have that left to do, a trans mount, and basically we can usually, or that's more or less all we're doing on the truck. He has a guy that's doing all of the tin work and everything inside the truck, all the finishing stuff. So they're going to try to also do some of that stuff themselves. So we're going to keep rolling on it and hopefully be done within a couple days.
Alright, so we're doing a little bit of finishing up stuff here on the Biltz truck today. Just a few small projects, putting a drive shaft loop on the transmission crossmember, and drilling out or reaming out the 4-link holes. The 4-link brackets that we're using come pre-drilled, but they're actually a little bit undersized until after everything gets welded in. Then once everything is welded, they want you to use a reamer so that you can get all of your tolerance perfect. On the 4-link brackets, we're reaming out the holes for the rod ends. They come with a little bit undersized holes so that you can get everything welded in place perfectly, and then after the welding's all done, you can get a really true bore with your reamer, and it keeps all of the rod ends really tight and keeps the preload from changing, which is really important on a 2-wheel drive application. And then just building turbo brace, drive shaft loop coming off the transmission cross member, just finishing up a few little odds and ends. Also going to be mounting a wastegate port on his charge air pipe. Wants to use an AMS 2000, I believe it is, and try to control some boost, especially during the spool up process. With it being a 12 valve and everything, should make everything a whole lot more manageable. It's kind of his power management system. So I think once we have some of that stuff done, we should be really close to finished up with this project. So we're mounting bedsides today is what we're working on. Started out by getting the front end of it. We got good anchor points on the top end of it and got clecos to hold the front end. Got us a little support here to hold the back end in the right place, and now we're just kind of building a whole structure for the back of the truck to hold the tailgate skin and the back of the bedsides. And then from there, we're going to work on putting tubs in and getting some supports across the top for a bed cover. So also doing a chute mount, so trying to make good mounting points for that, getting a good anchor point for the chute to pull on. Always have to make sure that's good and strong and to a good point of the chassis where you don't pull up or down too much and unsettle the chassis when the chute comes out. So just a few things to wrap up here, and this thing should be out of here in the next couple of days, hopefully.
So we are finishing up Brian's truck today. We have bedsides mounted, and he is actually going to be doing the bed cover himself. So we basically just have got a little bit of mounting left to do, but we have kind of the rear structure. This is where our parachute's gonna go, at least the main piece. So we got a little bit of the front stuff left to do. But I just want to show you guys, this is a kit that we have used on a couple builds. This is from Tim McCamus. This is just a single chute mount, but it kind of comes with, rather than guys trying to mount everything and make everything themselves, it's a relatively cheap kit, but it comes with a chute handle. It comes with the actual cable, all the tubing that you need to mount it to your chassis, the actual chute mount itself, all the handles, nice tabs, everything's, it's pretty, comes with instructions of some sort, but we don't need instructions, we don't use those. So yeah, this is kind of a nice little kit, so I'll give you guys a little overview once we get some of it set up, and Glenn's doing something along the lines with him.
Glenn?
Did
you really just call me Glenn?
I didn't say Glenn, I said Lynn.
Okay. My ears might need clean.
But anyway, so this is kind of not a bad looking little buggy though. Turned out pretty good. So hopefully they can have some fun with it and race. I know they're racing 590 with it this year. I'm making loud noises for your video. Yep, sounds good. So they're gonna try to run, or they're going to run 590 with it this year. They do have a 12 valve power plant, which I think has been said before, but so yeah, they'll hopefully have a good time. Yeah.
All right, we are done with the Biltz hot rod. This has been a fairly long kind of 3-stage project for us. We started out with the back half. When it came here, it had a kind of outdated back half on it. Pretty much it was a long bed configuration, and the back half that was on it was not really made for a long bed, so it still had a good bit of factory frame in it. But we cut out, weighed a little over 300 pounds, and the new frame weighed about 110. So we saved a good bit of weight. We converted it to a short bed, and now we've got the bedsides on and have everything there for getting a chute mounted and everything. So we started with the back half, kind of got that project wrapped up, and then talked to Brian and Brandon and tried to figure out what was next priority. And we decided the next thing to do would be to move the engine back. That was something that they really wanted to do, and it didn't really make sense to us to build a set of twins only for them to move the engine back, say, come next winter. So we ended up moving the engine back about 13 inches, and once that was done, well, when we mounted that with a mid plate, did a mid plate and a front mount kind of setup, so that ended up working out real nice, and then fabbed up a set of twins. So that's really, yeah, we did a little bit of anything and everything. They've got a good bit of you know, odds and ends stuff to button up yet. Still quite a bit of work to do in the next 9 weeks if they're going to make the first ODSS race. I'm not sure what their plan is on that, but yeah, still plenty to do.
Yeah.
So next stop for them is their tin guy. Is going to remount the tubs that he had in it and do some other tin work, get a firewall in it, and redo the floor that we cut out. But should be a pretty sweet little ride. We haven't had it on scales yet, so I'm not really sure what it's going to weigh, but I expect, you know, should have something in the 4,000 pound range, I would guess. So should be a pretty fun little hot rod for 590, and we're looking forward to seeing them on the track hopefully this coming year.